Alright, so here's where we're at on this thing. So I made the laminate for these. This thing here, I gotta do a little bit of work on still. Then it goes on. I got the hinge. Had to find a hinge for that. The hinge I got from Rockler Wood Supply. It's called a I don't know what it's like a music box or something like that hinge. So you can't get those anywhere at Home Depot. They don't have them. Small hinges. So then I figured out on these doors. Okay, so if you're trying to make one of these and you're trying to use something like what I'm doing here with these, we made these aluminum trim pieces, really hard to bend. We got this from Orange Aluminum. It's a 1/4 inch channel or a angle iron. Really hard to find. And they don't have it at most metal supply. Okay, so then you bend it around here and make it, and then it goes on here. And we found that to put the hinges on, you have to use a specific hinge for VW for it to work. Because let's say you use like a hinge like any of these types of things here, or one like this, or anything else, it's going to show and it's not going to look right, and it won't work with the aluminum trim on here. So what we figured out we got to do is we've got to cut a groove in here and have a hinge that inserts inside of it. I'll show you a little bit later here. Just kind of doing a little update on what we're doing. And that's how that works. You have to put a groove in there, put a groove in here, and then glue the hinges in. They originally, when they made these, let me show you the original. Luckily I have this piece of wood. This is an original cabinet. And what they did is, they actually see there's a groove in here. That's where the hinge went in. And they had a groove in the cabinet itself where the hinge goes in there. And what they did is, before they actually put the laminate on here, they put screws in to hold it in place or something, because you can actually see them in here. So if you're trying to figure this out on your own, it was really hard to figure this part out. You can see those screw holes, and then the hinge popped through the side here, and there was you could actually see the hinge right here, and then the hinge went straight into the wood from there. So all you can see on these is just the little hinge part right here, and that's it. So you have to make it exactly the same way or it will not work. So that's the trick. You cannot get this metal anywhere. But that's alright. I don't care if this part can be exposed right here. Can be just wood grain to me. I don't really care. As long as I have this edge, will look cool. Which I'll have with the other. So, of course, I made the cabinet dimensions here. It's kind of, if you're going to look at that, that's what my dimensions are. You can figure out your own. So we got the table leg in. Chris made that all up there by hand. We did with a bolt instead of, they had, I don't know what they had before, rivets or something like that. We went with the bolt on there. And then, because it's going to bounce around a lot, I figured to put a bolt in there, be a little stronger. Going down the road, you know, it's kind of does this. So, well, put something on there and it won't be so noisy. Then these things we made, so I got to straighten the cuts out there. Beautiful. That's my kind of cutting right there, guys. Yeah, I'll just run the planer over that. It'll look pretty good. And I got the material, which I'll show you. So here's my curtain material, which replicates the original pretty close. Let's go look at the, I got these, of course, remember. And then I got this material. So this is actually called Buffalo Plaid. I think it's pretty close to the original. I think the squares are about the same size, but maybe not. Maybe they're a little bit smaller. But the original stuff is like $200 a yard, and this was like $6. But this is actually upholstery material too, so I don't know where I got it. I just looked around until I found it. It's called Buffalo Plaid, black and white. Or black and red. See if you can imagine that on there. It's going to look cool. Looks very close to the original. So that's where we're going with it. I just got a couple more things I'm going to get here. And I'll start putting these on. I got the foam. And then the funny thing is these seat backs, I got to make those still. But I don't know the distance. I don't know what it is from here to here, how it fits in here. I'm not sure about all that stuff. You know, I don't know. We don't have another van to look at. So I'm going to cut, I think I'm going to make them 10 inches, 10 and a half inches or 11 inches. And then what happens is that these ones kind of slide over a little bit. And I think that's how it works when it goes down. But I still don't know how that it doesn't go down in here, because I don't think they had like anything there. So what I'm going to do is make the seat backs, and then I'll put them on here and see how it's going to work. I don't know. So we don't have another van, so we can just kind of guess. So you guys will find out. You guys are trying to do one of these, you can look at my videos and figure it out a little bit easier. Maybe you'll know more than I do. I don't know. Alright, so let's take a look here at what we got on this cabinet. So kind of jump ahead. This was all really slow working, handwork stuff. But we got this thing made up, and just lining up these things and getting them in the right place. The length was just really like a little bit too long. Probably the original ones were a little shorter or whatever. And then had to grind out this here to get the hinge to clear when it shuts. So but we got them to look pretty good. We just got to make our, now we're going to make the latches for them. These here we had to do like a mortise style hinge. Where actually we cut a groove in here and then just put these aluminum hinges in. All it is just hinge stock. We cut them and then inserted them inside. So inside the door, just put a groove in here. Took a groover, and so there's no bolts. That's all just epoxied in. The hinges are epoxied in. That's similar to how they were made. They were actually made and then screwed in like this. They were like a mortise style hinge that was in there, and they were screwed in, and then they put the laminate over that when they built these. They're really, really complicated cabinets if you're ever trying to make original ones. They're just like really difficult to make. So here's what it looks like with the sink in here. We still gotta route this edge out and set the sink in, do the hardware. We're gonna put a faucet on here. So instead of having this thing be the stupid little plastic bowl, now can you imagine trying to hold the thing and then wash your hands, you know, with the water hose and the shower head and the plastic bowl? As soon as you lay it on the side of it, I could just see the plastic bowl flipping up and the water going everywhere. What a mess. I don't know how they ever use that. So we decided to upgrade it to the sink, but make it still look original. So that's the whole way we're doing that. And then we're going to make the latches. The latches, we're going to make them out of brass. I got to go get some brass rod right now, and then we'll go ahead and make those up. It shouldn't be that hard to make, really. They shouldn't take very long to make each one. But that's how it's going. Looks pretty neat. All right. So I'm going to look inside the bus if we got anything else going in there. Again, the table legs in. There's our cloth. We've got the seat. Things all cut out, ready to go. I don't know if I put that in the last video. Forgot to make a little update here. So yeah, that's all. This here is polished aluminum, not stainless. So it'll probably dull out a little bit, but looks pretty neat. Got that thing in. Anyway, yeah, we got this thing put in today. Got that thing put in. It actually hit the original holes, so we know we're doing something right. All right, so let's take a look here. I don't know what I showed you guys last time. I've got to still cut out the little door for that. We got the water pump working. Don't have it wired in, but I actually have this part wired up. We got a temporary battery in here, and it's hooked. It's going to be hooked up to our to my little RV battery setup. I have a miniature RV battery setup, of course. Yeah, we're going to go modernize a little bit. So we want it to look old. I still got to recess this down so it fits a little bit lower. Yeah, we're going to have a sink. And yeah, it looks cool. It looks really retro, old school. It's all handmade stainless steel. And the pipes are going to come down through here. Yeah, I got these on. I don't know if I had this in the last video. I don't think so. Got these things on. The pipes are going to come down through here, and they're going to go around and then into somewhere. I'm going to have a hole over there, and also somewhere, I'm not sure where, I'm going to have a USB, and it's going to be hidden. So I'm going to have a USB and power port, and 12-volt power port, and also a inverter, so I can hook up, you know, whatever, computer, TV, whatever, if I want. Got to modernize it, man. You got to do it right. Let's take a look at some of these latches. I'm making these things real quick. So I'll show you guys how we made these. You know, they're all a little bit different. They're not perfect, but what they do is we took a tap, and we actually used, I was gonna weld these on, but I grabbed the wrong rod, so I thought, you know what, let's just solder them. That's cool. I don't mind them being a little retro, little model looking and stuff. And we just went ahead and got tapped these and drilled them. Basically, we started with this brass stock. I'll show you. We started with this. We just bought a bunch of. I had some brass, flat brass that was in rectangles, and then I went back down there to get something else, and I saw these like strips that were already cut, like they did them in a big shear or something. And I was like, man, those are perfect. I'll just cut them up, and then we made these two pieces here. So we've got one. I just cut this shape out right here, okay, and then I cut this shape out, and then I just used solder, silver solder, and you know, basically plumbing stuff right here, silver solder, you know, and it works really good. And just soldered them on there, and then these ones actually just screw onto here. So you put a little. We'll probably put a little. I'm actually gonna counter drill this a little bit, so that, you know, so that I can put a longer screw in here. And then each one of these will just be screwed onto here. And what I'll do is I'll have to put some washers in here, because my distance is going to be just a little bit different because of the type of trim that I have and the way that my cabinets are cut. The original is just slightly different, so of course the original is not going to work. So I have to modify that, and, you know, put maybe 2 or 3 washers on here until it's just right, the right distance. Then I'll put these back on there, and that looks kind of like the original ones. If you look at those, here's a picture of them. Here's the reproduction one somebody else did. They look exactly like the original. So everything I'm getting is just off of pictures. I'm going to make these next. So I'm going to shear off with, I got this here. I have this brass stock. It's about the right thickness. I'd say it's about, you know, maybe 20 gauge, I'm going to say. And I'm going to shear off strips of that, and then I'll just bend them in the sheet metal bender, and then I'll just round the edge right here, and then drill 2 holes. There it is. Easy. So I'll just shear off strips like that, you know, really straight. Try and do it as straight as I can on the shear. And then I'll just shear them this way, you know, real straight or whatever, and then I'll just bend it, and then I'll put 2 holes. That's it, done. So anyway, that's how those are going to get made. I'll have those done here shortly. I'll probably do those maybe tonight. Anyway, that's the progress here. I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe. This thing's going to be pretty neat because it's all handmade. Everything in this thing's handmade. Everything in the whole bus. So it's pretty cool. And it looks like the original, kind of close. Not exactly, but I really liked. I like that it's handmade, you know, and I hate to waste, you know, a couple of good parts on this thing, you know, like original parts, when I don't have any of it. So it just makes sense that it just is all retro. I call this a resto mod, because I'm doing like original like restoration, but I'm also modifying it to make it more like more usable for today. So that's what I'm going for, resto mod. Talk to you guys in the next video. Please like, share, and subscribe.